If you think you're serious about Bitcoin, but you're still using beginner wallets, it's time for a wake-up call. Electrum isn't just a wallet, it's a full-blown command center for your Bitcoin. Master it and you'll unlock next-level tools like hardware integration, multisig, node control, 2FA, and more. You might have already dipped your toes into something like Sparrow Wallet, and that's great. But Electrum is the original Swiss Army knife of Bitcoin wallets, battle-tested since 2011 and still packing a few tricks you won't find elsewhere, like full Lightning Network support built right in. Today, I'm going to show you why OG Bitcoiners and power users continue to use this incredible tool after 14 years. I'm Ben with the BTC Sessions. This is your daily session. Electrum might seem intimidating at first, but don't worry, we're starting with the basics and leveling up step by step. In this tutorial, we'll begin with downloading, verifying, and installing Electrum securely. From there, we'll create a simple wallet, explore all the different wallet options, and gradually move to more advanced setups like 2FA, hardware, multisig, and even connecting your own Bitcoin node, as well as Lightning. This video is designed to be consumed in multiple sittings, so don't feel like you need to master everything all at once. I've included detailed timestamps in the show notes so you can easily pause, practice, and return whenever you're ready to tackle the next skill. Whether you're looking to just get comfortable with Electrum or truly master it inside and out, this guide has you covered. Let's get started. So here I am on electrum.org, and it's very important that you double check the spelling of the URL when you head there because there are known to be phishing sites. So if you go to something like .com or some other variation, you could be downloading malicious software. So again, just double check that you've typed it in correctly. What we're going to be doing now is we're going to download the software and we're going to verify that it was signed by the correct developers. This is best practice when you're installing any new software, especially software that's dealing directly with your money. I'm actually, funny enough, going to be using Sparrow Wallet, which has a baked-in ability to verify software to verify my Electrum install. Now, if you haven't played with Sparrow, what I would say is maybe just kind of start with this as a basic kind of walkthrough for Electrum, and you can always look at verifying the software later on, but just kind of minimize the amount of funds that you're using with Electrum. You can go check out my Sparrow Wallet video. I'll have that down below, and there's a section on how to verify software. Alternatively, you can just head over to sparrowwallet.com and download it. You don't even need to set up a wallet to also use it as a software verifier, but we're going to see that right now. So here on the website, up in the top, there's a download section we're going to click on. I'm on a Mac, so I'm going to click and download the file here. But I'm not just going to download that. Over to the right, there's something that says signatures. So I'm going to download that as well. So I've downloaded both of those files, and this will allow me to verify the software. So I'm going to flip over to my other screen here. And you can see I have the Electrum software here, and then I have the signatures here. So in Sparrow Wallet, which I have open up and ready, I'm just going to go up to Tools. I'm going to Verify Download. And then I'm going to first get this signature file, which is this ASC ending file right here. And it's just important that these two files are in the same folder. That's it. So I'm going to hit Browse. I'm going to go to my downloads and grab the ASC file. I'm going to open it up, and it immediately checks everything. I see green check marks. We're good to go. We're okay to install this. So that's pretty much all you need to do to verify the software. Just simply, it looks for the other files that reference with the keys here and says that, hey, these keys have indeed signed this piece of software. So you're good. So we'll hit close here. Don't need Sparrow Wallet anymore. We're good to go. Okay, so next, I no longer need the signature file here, so you can delete that, but I'm going to open up this DMG file to install. If you're on Windows, it'll be a little bit different, but I'm going to double click that, and it opens up this window. And what I want to do, this Electrum file, I want to drag it into my applications. So here's my applications window on my Mac. I'm literally just going to go drag and drop, and it gets installed. And if I now scroll down, there it is. Okay, perfect. I can close this out and move on. I often like to drag Electrum down to the dock or whatever programs I find I'm going to be using often. I'll just have them down there for easy access so I can get rid of that. And I'm just going to click on it in the dock here. The first time you open it, just so you know, it will give you a, hey, do you actually want to open this? It's downloaded from the internet. I just say yes. Right here, I'm not going to go into advanced network settings currently. That will be for a later section when we deal with nodes. We're just going to go through the basic setup here. So I'm going to hit the blue next button. We're going to create a new wallet. You can give this any name that you want. I'm just going to leave it here as is for now. And I'm going to hit next. We're going to make a standard wallet right off the top. We will look at what these other options are later on. And we're going to create a brand new seed. Okay, so we're creating a brand new wallet from scratch. We'll hit next. This gives us a 12-word seed phrase. This is very important. These are the keys to your money randomly generated by Electrum. You are going to write these down. You're going to keep these safe and offline in physical form so that if something happens to your computer or you delete the app or whatever may happen, you have these words and you'll be able to use them to recover your money or access to your money in the future. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write these down and then I'll hit next and we'll return here in a moment. Okay, with these words written down, I'm going to hit next and I'm going to retype them right here to make sure that I did it correctly. As I begin typing, it'll begin to show possible words that I could be typing. By the time I get to the fourth digit of any word, it should be pretty narrowed down. So there's decide, and I'll continue on from there and we'll type out everything. With them all written back in, I'll hit next again. And then if I want to, I can add a password. On the computer, what this does is it encrypts the file that is my wallet file. So if somebody were to access my computer, they would also need the password to unlock it. Otherwise, that file would be useless. Not a bad idea if you're using a hot wallet. For this example, again, right now, I'm not going to use the password just for brevity's sake, but you get the point. Just know that if you forget this password, there's no recovery option. You're just locked. Now, however, as long as you have your 12 words, you're fine. It's just you won't be able to access the file on your computer. You'll need to import or recover with the 12 words later on. So I'll hit finish here. Now I get a notification here. For security reasons, we advise you always use the latest version of Electrum. Would you like to be notified if there's a newer version? I'm going to say yes. And here we are, bumped into the main wallet. We'll now explore what's in front of us and get a lay of the land. So for this section, and as we go through the wallet here, I'm going to start with just the very bare bones basics, and we'll get to the advanced stuff later. Really, I'm just showing you right now what you need to know for a basic hot wallet. So on the main screen here, we have tabs up top: history, send, receive, and channels. Lightning channels we will deal with later, not right now. Okay. So mainly history, send, and receive. History being any historical transactions that you've already done, of which we have none. At the top, we have the name of the wallet we're currently using. With Electrum, by default, you can have many different wallets, but they'll open in a new window each time. Okay. Down at the bottom, we have our balance. It is set in millibits. It is a unit that I'm not super keen on using. I usually like either seeing Bitcoin as a decimal or sats. And if you're familiar with sats, or if you're not familiar with sats, there are 100 million sats in a Bitcoin. It is the smallest possible unit. A lot of Lightning wallets tend to use that unit by default nowadays. So I will make that change in a moment. Down in the bottom right, there is a lock. This is just adding a password if you don't already have one. There are preferences here. You can view your seed phrase here, and this is making sure that you're connected to the Bitcoin network. If it's green, you're good to go. And then there's wallet settings up top here. Really quick, I am going to just change a couple settings here. I'm going to hit settings, when it comes to units, I want to change this to sats. That's kind of what I prefer to see. Millibits. Millibits are 100,000 sats. So 1 millibit is 100,000 sats. Again, I prefer either the largest or the smallest unit, just easier to deal with. I also like to add the separators. So if I've got 100,000 sats here, I like to see it broken up into those brackets of 3. So I'm going to put that on as well. And then I'm going to change my fiat currency. I'd like to see a representation of how much the Bitcoin is worth. So right now, none is selected. I'm just going to go and I'm going to select USD so that I can see US dollar amounts. And I'll just use the default. So I'll just hit close here. Those settings are changed and it does show, it'll show my balance in sats in US dollars. And then it says, hey, 1,000 sats is currently worth around 95 cents US dollars. Again, just gives me a nice little reference. So everything's now set up and we've got a lay of the land. Let's receive our first transaction. And I'm going to do a withdraw from an online exchange directly into my Electrum wallet. So to receive a regular Bitcoin transaction here in Electrum, I am going to go to the Receive tab. This allows me to enter a description for my incoming transaction, which typically best practice is just type in where it's coming from for your own recollection. So that's the name of the exchange I'll be using. You can request a specific amount or you can just leave that blank. I'm going to leave it blank so any amount can be sent to it. And then it gives you the option for an expiry. And what the expiry does is it just takes your Bitcoin address, because there's a new address every time you receive. It'll reserve that Bitcoin address for the stated amount of time that you prefer. And if you tap on it, you have lots of different options: 1 week, 1 day, hour, 10 minutes, or it never expires and it just stays reserved. I'm just going to leave it as is for now. This just prevents address reuse. So it prevents multiple people from sending to the same address, which can degrade your privacy. So either way, I'm all good to go. I'm going to hit create request. And this is going to give me a few different things. You can see down below, this is my reserved Bitcoin address, and it says it expires in a day. After that, the address will be available for other possible transactions. Over on the right-hand side, this is where all the information that you need is going to be. This is called a Bitcoin URI. It contains the Bitcoin address as well as any sort of specific information regarding any amount requests. If I tap on it again, it'll just show me a plain Bitcoin address that you can send to, which is what we're going to need here. If I tap it again, it shows me Lightning. Again, Lightning we're not using right now, but that will be available later as an example. The other thing that I can do is I can tap on the QR button here. It'll show me a QR code. Again, this is encoded with the additional information if it were a specific invoice, or I can tap again to see a Bitcoin address, and that's what I want. In either instance, tapping on the QR code or the code here will copy this information. So I'm going to, now that I've copied that information, I'm going to make a note of the first few digits, the last few digits, BC1 and 972. I'm going to jump over to my exchange so that they know where to send me my Bitcoin. So here on Bitcoin Well, I'm going to click on Buy Bitcoin. Again, this is a great place in Canada and the US to buy Bitcoin. Favorite thing about it is that they never actually hold your Bitcoin for you. The second you send them dollars, they send Bitcoin to your own Bitcoin address. Okay, so here I am, and I just need to first let the exchange know about the wallet I want to use. There's a calculator up top here, so if I type in, how much I want to send, it'll tell me how much Bitcoin I will get for that amount. But down below, I have a previously selected wallet. I'm going to hit the down arrow. I'm going to hit Add Wallet. I'll just call it Electrum, and then I will paste in the Bitcoin address I had. Double checking BC1 972 looks good. I'm going to hit add, and that is now added. Over on the left, I'll go back to buy Bitcoin, and now I'm going to hit the drop down arrow and select that wallet. That's where I want the Bitcoin going. And then I have instructions on how to send over dollars here. As soon as I send over the dollars, whatever I've sent, they'll send the equivalent in Bitcoin to this Bitcoin wallet. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm not going to show you my banking information in this example. I'm going to jump over to after I've received the Bitcoin from my transfer. Now, when I receive the transaction, there will be a couple things that make me aware of that. There will be a notification badge in the top right of the corner. You missed that before I hit record. But down below here, we're going to see that the description disappears and the Bitcoin address here, it now says unconfirmed in the right here, meaning that I have an incoming transaction. There's a date that is listed here. So to see that, I can just jump over to history and I can see my transaction right here, unconfirmed on the way in. It tells me the amount, so the number of sats, 132,000-ish sats, and then it shows me my total balance at the top here. So what unconfirmed means is that the Bitcoin network, on average, settles every 10 minutes. So within 10 minutes, I should see a confirmation, and we'll just jump ahead to when that is, and we'll take a look at how to spend on the other side. Just one other quick note, you'll notice in the bottom left of Electrum, it also has balance, the US dollar amount, and it's still that 1,000 sat equals roughly. If I click on it, it shows me a pie chart of my total balance and how much of it is currently unconfirmed. So we'll see that change when it does confirm when we get back. And just jumping ahead here, you can see as time progresses, the color down in the bottom, we can see is now turned to green, so considered confirmed. And there's this little pie chart to the left. That basically goes to 6, but again, after 1, it is considered a confirmed transaction. So we now have our funds confirmed in our wallet, and we're going to make a jump to spending from Electrum. Okay, so I have Electrum here, of course, and then I've got Sparrow Wallet just on the receive screen pulled up, and I'm going to send from Electrum to Sparrow. And all I'm going to do is just grab a Bitcoin address, copy it from Sparrow, so that I can now go over to sending from Electrum. I'm going to click on the Send tab up top. I'm going to paste in the address that I've just copied. I'm going to give it a description. I'll say Sparrow, that's where it's going. And then I can choose an amount either in sats or in USD. And so I can see I've got around 126 US dollars in here. Maybe I'll send over about 50, and that will interpret the amount of sats I need to send, or vice versa. If I type in sats, it'll tell me how much it is. There is a max button if I want to send the whole amount, or I can clear all the fields if I want to start from scratch. I can save this for later, or I can simply hit pay and it should be sent off. So I'm going to do that right now. It allows me to now set my fee. So again, if it's urgent, I can begin to bump this up, and it lets me know, hey, at this fee rate, at around 85 cents or 896 sats, it should be confirmed in the next block or within 10 minutes. If I bump it down, then it will take longer, but it will be cheaper. For this tutorial, I'll bump it up to the top and I'll hit OK, and off it goes. It says payment sent, and it says that it is now sent and unconfirmed. And we should see a notification for Sparrow here momentarily of the transaction coming in. Okay, and there we see the notification up top of the transaction coming in. And if I go back to Electrum, and you can see on the history tab that I now have selected, it shows the outgoing transaction. So we are now good to go. Everything has been sent successfully, and we can continue on. And just to one more time take a look at Electrum, we see our updated balance in the top right and also in the bottom left. And as before, it shows as unconfirmed, and that pie chart will begin to fill in over time. And we have our description right below as to where we sent it. This section is going to be on wallet recovery. So if something happens to your computer or the Electrum application, you can use your 12 words to recover your funds. So we're going to do that right now. I'm going to go up to File, and I'm going to choose Delete. And this will delete the wallet file that I have here in Electrum, effectively getting rid of the keys to my money that reside on this computer. I'm going to do that right now. And yes, I do have funds currently in Electrum. When I open up Electrum again, because it does close down when I do that, it says, hey, do you want to create or restore a wallet? And again, it says this file does not exist. So again, I'm creating a wallet from scratch because I deleted the old one. I'm going to choose next. I'm going to say, standard wallet. And then I'm going to say, I already have a seed, and I'm going to hit next. And this allows me, just like when we confirmed our original seed, to retype it here to import said wallet. So I'm going to do that now from the copy that I have here on my desk. With all that typed in, I'm going to hit next. I'm going to leave no password again, and I'll hit finish. And when Electrum opens, I can see that I have access to the same account as before. I have the same balance. The only thing that is currently missing is the description, because that does not get ported over when you re-import with just your seed words. Bitcoin Well is the best place to be buying and selling Bitcoin in Canada and the US. And now with Bitcoin Well Infinite, it's also the best place to be making large buys at their OTC desk of over $50,000. Their white glove service gives you fast transactions, no slippage, and the lowest fees. You can scan the QR code on the screen or simply head to bitcoinwell.com/BTC sessions to sign up today. And you can share your own personalized referral link to earn commissions. Securing your Bitcoin doesn't have to be complicated or invasive. With Nunchuck's Honey Badger plan, you get state-of-the-art multisig with built-in inheritance planning and no KYC required. Nunchuck is trusted by users to secure billions of dollars in Bitcoin. The Honey Badger plan offers 204 assisted multisig, guiding you step-by-step on mobile or desktop. It works seamlessly with hardware wallets like TapSigner, Coldcard, Jade, and plenty of others, so you're always in control. Plus, with non-KYC inheritance planning, you can ensure your Bitcoin goes to your loved ones. No private info needed. Take control of your Bitcoin today. Click the link in the show notes or scan the QR code on the screen to check out the Honey Badger plan. Before moving on to trying different types of wallets, I want to kind of outline all of the different options you have when creating a new wallet and the different configurations you can set them up in. So we're going to just take a quick look at the new wallet option here from within Electrum. So I'm going to choose File, and I'm going to say New/Restore. And we're just going to, we'll leave the default wallet name as Wallet 1, the one that it serves up to us, and we'll just hit Next. Now, let's just take a look through the menus here and see what is available to us. Under Standard Wallet, I can hit Next, and we chose the first one, Create a New Seed. We've done that in the beginning step. We also recovered with I already have a seed. When you use something like I have a master key, what it asks you for is something called an XPub or an XPRV, XPrivate. What these allow you to do is to import information in the form of, it's kind of like a long string of digits. It looks a little bit like a Bitcoin address, just a jumble of numbers and letters. And so you can import this, and the XPRV and the other ones noted here, that would be a fully accessible wallet where the keys to the wallet are on the computer. Those are just different ways of importing it. When you come to anything that ends in pub, it means public information, means it can be publicly shared without risking somebody being able to spend your funds. And what this would do is it would import a watch-only wallet, meaning you could see and add to the balance, but you wouldn't be able to spend. And it's just more of kind of like you're watching your balance and just keeping tabs on it without having the keys on the computer. So those are the options there. You'll notice that you can also click the little camera button, because sometimes those are represented as QR codes, which could be scanned into the computer. Moving on, use a hardware device. This would be using something like a Coldcard, which we're going to use in the next section, a device where the keys are on it and not on the computer, which makes it more secure so that they can't be remotely hacked. Moving back, let's take a look at two-factor authentication. This basically creates a multi-sig wallet, meaning a digital vault that requires multiple keys instead of just one. And so you would have a couple keys, and then there would be key stored on a server that is encrypted, and you can remotely activate that key to sign using Google Authenticator, an app that you have on your phone. And so we'll go through that in the future here, but just so you know, that's an option there. There is also multi-signature wallets where you can, again, set up wallets with various keys and ways to unlock it. And then you can also import Bitcoin addresses or private keys. So if you have a list of Bitcoin addresses or a list of Bitcoin private keys or public keys, you can just paste them in here. It can even show you, you can paste in a whole bunch of different things here all at once, and you'll be able to view those wallets and manipulate them here in Electrum. We're going to go through a few of these options so that you can see exactly how to set them up. And we're going to start with hardware next. For this section, we're going to be using a hardware wallet to secure our Bitcoin through Electrum. Electrum being the piece of software where we'll be able to see our balance and add to it. But the device in question, the Coldcard Q, will be the device that allows us to unlock and spend our money. Without the device, we cannot spend, making it more secure on our computer. Now, to add a side note here, I am not going to be going through the setup process for the Coldcard Q. If you want that full process, make sure you check the show notes so that you can follow along with my Coldcard Basics video. In this instance, I've already set up the device. It already has a PIN and everything like that, and it has its own seed phrase, much like we did for the beginning hot wallet that we created. But we haven't used it yet with Electrum. So the goal here is to make Electrum aware of this wallet so that we can see and add to the balance and so that we can approve transactions with our Coldcard. With that said, my Coldcard is on, plugged in, PIN is in, and we're going to start dealing with Electrum right now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to choose File. I'm going to hit New or Restore. I'm going to label this one this time. We'll call it Coldcard. And we're going to hit Next. We're going to choose Standard Wallet, and I'm going to say Use a hardware device, and I'll hit Next. So the Coldcard is plugged into the computer right now. There are ways that you can use the Coldcard where you don't need to plug it in. I'm not covering that currently, but we'll address some options about that later on. I can see that it popped up and is recognized, so I'm going to hit Next. And then I'm going to leave the address type as just native SegWit. There's some different options, but we'll just not touch that, and we'll hit Next from here. Now it says, do you want to encrypt using your hardware? Your wallet file does not contain secrets, mostly just data. It contains your master public key. So if you want to encrypt the wallet file, what that means is you'll have to have your device present to view and add to your balance. If you don't want to do that, you'll be able to view it without having to plug in the device. I prefer to be able to view, so I'm going to choose not to encrypt. If you prefer needing the hardware in order to see the balance, then you can leave that clicked on. I'm going to hit Finish. This now pops up an entirely separate window for this particular wallet, which is labeled at the top. So you can see default wallet on the old one. You can see Coldcard on this new one. So I'll just layer that over top here. You can see a couple previous transactions that I've used for other demos here. So it does import the wallet history, but I have a current balance of 0. So let's now interact with this wallet. We're going to receive some funds, and then we're going to send some funds using our Coldcard. All right, so I've now put these two wallets visible on the screen, and the bottom one is the hot wallet we created initially. The top one is the new Coldcard wallet that we created, and you can actually designate them. You can see not only by the titles up top, but in the bottom right, you can see the Coldcard itself, the little logo for it, or a little icon for it. So what I want to do is I want to receive into my Coldcard. So as before, I'm going to hit Receive. Where am I receiving from? I'm going to receive from my hot wallet, or I guess it was called default. And I'm not going to request a specific amount. I'll leave the expiry as is. I'm just going to hit Create Request. I have Bitcoin address already selected here, so I'm just going to tap to copy that. and then we'll send over from our source, in this case, our hot wallet, but you may be coming directly from an exchange as I did in the first example. So we'll just hit send. We'll paste in the amount. It's going to the Coldcard, and I'm going to send the max amount in this example. I'll hit pay, and I'll just attach a decent fee so that it'll go quickly. And off it goes. And so right away we see an update here down below. It is unconfirmed. If I go back to my history page, we see a new incoming transaction and an updated balance of around 78,000 sats. So we'll wait for that to confirm, and then we'll test sending back out in the opposite direction. All right, we've got a confirmation now. Again, confirmed down in the bottom left. We can see the green. And so now let's try sending the opposite direction, this time with the help of our Coldcard queue. So first we're going to set up everything. And then when we go to send, we're going to approve it with our device. So going the opposite direction, let's go get a receive address from our hot wallet here. I'm going to hit receive. We'll say it's coming from our Coldcard, and I'm not going to set an amount. We'll create the request, and we'll copy the Bitcoin address. Great. Now we're going to go to our Coldcard wallet. We're going to go to the send screen. As before, we'll paste in a Bitcoin address. We will give it a description going to the default wallet, and we'll send the max amount back out. At this point, we're going to hit pay. We will set our transaction fee and hit OK. Now, it's going to send a message to my Coldcard, and I can already see it beginning to act. And I'll bring my screen up a little bit so you can actually see what the device is telling me. But it says, is this okay to send? And it gives me all the transaction details. I'm sending this much Bitcoin to the following address at the following fee. Is that okay? If it is, I'm going to hit the enter button to approve it. And that should send the approval through to our Electrum wallet, and we'll see payment sent there. And that is all set. So we've successfully sent from our Coldcard. We can see it here. If we go back to history, we can see the transaction going out. And if we go to our hot wallet that we just sent to, same thing, unconfirmed transaction down below in the history, we see Bitcoin coming into the wallet. So the added step here is requiring this device to approve a transaction. Without it, I'm not able to spend, but if I do disconnect, I can still watch and view and add to my balance. And just to clarify around having multiple wallets open here, now that we've gotten through the basics of hardware, at any point I can close either of these wallets. As long as one Electrum wallet remains open, Electrum itself remains open. If I want to access a wallet that's not currently open, I just go up to File, Open, and it will show me my possible wallets. I can open my default wallet that I had closed, and there we go. So that File Open is where you access any other wallet that you have created. For this next section, we're going to dive into something that Electrum has available to users that actually is not available inside of Sparrow Wallet, which again is a very fully featured wallet, and that is Lightning Network functionality. And so we're going to dive into how to use Lightning within the confines of Electrum Wallet. But before we do, for those that are maybe not well versed in Lightning and why you might use it and what it offers, it's effectively a way of having an easy spending wallet that is faster and cheaper than regular on-chain Bitcoin payments. And the way it works is that you lock up an amount of Bitcoin in what amounts to a multisig, a wallet that has two keys. You have one of the keys. Another person running a Lightning node is what it's called, has a key as well. And the Bitcoin is locked between you. The other person cannot steal the funds, but what it enables you to do is effectively think of it like a string with beads on it. And you start the string with all the beads on your side, and you can bump beads to the other side, aka payments to the other side of the string. The other person likely has many other connections. And so you can string together payments through this other entity and onto others and bump payments down the line without ever having to execute an on-chain Bitcoin payment once you have funded what's known as the channel. I know that's a little complex, but this is my CliffsNotes version. Feel free to check out some of my other Lightning videos to understand further. But we're going to dive into the meat of actually how to use Lightning in Electrum right now. Let's take a peek. So here I am back in my default wallet, my hot wallet that we created initially. And I will say that it does need to be a hot wallet, meaning that the keys are on the internet connected device in order to use the Lightning functionality. And so what we're going to do is we are going to, oh, and one other thing, one little prerequisite too, you should have a higher balance. I believe right now it limits you to, it must be over 200,000 sats. If I'm not mistaken, it could be 3. Either way, I have 325,000 sats that I've now funded into this wallet. Just so you know, in my opinion, it's better to have Lightning channels that are a little bit larger even, maybe even 1 million sats. If you can pull that off, then that's great. But either way, let's take a look how to get this started. So in my wallet, I'm going to go over to Lightning channels with a little lightning bolt. And then I'm going to say new channel. Says, do you want to create your first channel? Lightning support in Electrum is experimental, so keep that in mind. Do not put large amounts in Lightning channels. Electrum uses static channel backups. If you lose your wallet file, you will need to request your channel be force closed by the other node that you're connected to. It's a little bit of information there. So I'm just going to go ahead. I'm going to say yes. And then it says, choose a remote node and an amount to fund the channel. Minimum required amount, I was correct, 200,000 sats, which at the time of this video is around $189. I'm going to leave this as the Electrum node just because it is simpler, but you do have options for async and another one here. I'm not sure what that is. Trampoline Hodlisterco, something like that. Anyways, I'm just going to do the max amount in my wallet. So that's 320 some odd sats there. And I'm going to hit OK. It's going to ask me what I want my fee to be. I'm going to have it high so that it goes through quicker. I'll hit OK. And it says opening channel, channel established. And so it says this channel will be usable after 6 confirmations. So if you'll recall, 10 minutes on average for a confirmation. After that, 5 more. So in about an hour, this channel will be usable. You can see though, it says that it's opening over here on the right, not yet available. As soon as it is, then we will be able to start executing Lightning payments. All right, so I've waited the appropriate amount of time and we can see that my Lightning channel is now open. I've also have my phone connected to the computer and I have a Lightning wallet so we can experiment with sending and receiving transactions, which we're going to do now. So again, in general, the best way to think of this is that we just took our existing balance and we moved it over into a Lightning channel, which now makes that balance easily spendable. Okay. And again, with the comparison of having like beads on a string, we basically have a string where all of the beads are on our side. So we can send easily right now, but receiving Lightning payments will be more of a pain because of the state of the channel, meaning that all the funds are on our side. Okay. So we're going to send out of the wallet first, and then we'll practice receiving so we can see what it's like on both sides. So I'm going to just, again, from Electrum, go to the basic send screen. And we want to send to what is known as a Lightning invoice. So over here in Wallet of Satoshi, I'm just going to hit receive, and I'm going to create an invoice for a specific amount. In this instance, I'll make it for, I don't know, we'll say $10, and I'll hit generate invoice. So an invoice, like many things, you're going to have a QR code and you're going to have a string of digits, just like a Bitcoin address. So I'm going to copy that here. You can see it in my clipboard. And then I'm going to go over here and I'm going to paste it into Electrum. And this automatically figures out the amount trying to be sent. are in around 10 US dollars or 10,621 sats. So that all looks good to me. I'm going to say pay. It says, do you want to pay this invoice? I'm going to say yes, and off it shall go. Okay, and as soon as it goes through, I get the notification on the phone and the invoice here disappears. If I go to my transaction history in Electrum, we can see that the transaction was sent. I didn't add a description to it, of course. I see a new updated balance. And then what we'll notice here on the left-hand side is anytime I do a transaction that is Lightning, it has a little lightning bolt beside it, and I hover and it lets me know that it was a Lightning transaction. Whereas with regular transactions, after confirmation, we have the little green check mark, and it lets us know how many confirmations have taken place since the original transaction. So either way, we have successfully sent a Lightning transaction. Let's try receiving. So I'm going to go to receive, and I'm going to put in a description. We'll just put WOS for Wallet of Satoshi. How much do we want to receive? Let's receive back about half of that. So 5,000 sats. That's just shy of $5. And I will hit create request. Now, it does create a request for a regular Bitcoin address, but if I tap, it does give me the Lightning option as well. It's important to know that when you create a request with Lightning, the Lightning request actually does expire. So the Bitcoin address will be good to receive to, perpetually moving forward. Even if it has already received funds, it's still valid. Whereas a Lightning invoice does indeed expire. So you can see it says expires in 24 hours. So I'm going to actually bring up the QR code here on the screen this time. And maybe I'll extend this down just a little bit so it's visible. And just with my connected phone here, I'm going to open up the camera so I can scan what is on the screen. So I just hit the send button. There's my camera here, and I'll just give it a scan. And again, it brings in all the information that I need. It says, hey, you're sending 5,000 sats. Does that sound good? I'll hit the send button on the phone. And there we go. Sent and received on the other side. If I go to my transaction history, here we go. Wallet of Satoshi. We've received 5,000 sats. So there we go. We have both sent and received transactions with our Lightning channel. And just a side note, it lets us know our capacity of what we can send and what we can receive here in our Lightning channel tab. So I can see what I'm able to send right here, what I'm able to receive. And Lightning channels, the reason for these specific numbers is that there's a channel reserve, so that if you go to close a Lightning channel, you have the funds available to close the channel, which requires an on-chain transaction, which can incur some fees. Okay, so the last thing we'll do here is, if you no longer want funds in a Lightning channel, you can move them out. And what you can do is I can select the channel. I can hit right click on it rather, and I have options for closing. The best option always is a cooperative close. That will work right away, and it will send an on-chain payment back to your wallet so that you can access it there. If your Lightning channel partner is offline, you can force close or request a force close. Okay. Other than that, you have a few other options: freeze for sending or receiving if you don't want to send or receive out of this particular channel for any reason. And then you have additional just information here that you can set, but I'm not going to go too detailed into that. Either way, let's close this channel so we can see what that looks like. We'll say cooperative close, and it says this will negotiate the transaction fee. Your node will negotiate the transaction fee. This method of closing the channel usually results in the lowest fees. I'll say yes. There we go. Channel closed, and it says channel is now closing. Now, you would only close a channel if you don't have a use for those quick transactions anymore, or if you want to move funds perhaps out of the wallet, or you need them on chain, whatever the reason. But typically you're not closing channels often. You open a channel if you want to use it for an extended period of time. Otherwise, it kind of negates the purpose. You're going to be experiencing more on-chain fees. Either way, we've now closed the channel. If we look at history, we can see closed channel, and we have a cost of 749 sats to close the channel. That is the on-chain fee required to do that. So as a recap, what have we done here? We opened a channel with our existing funds. We used all of them, but you can use a portion of them. We sent a Lightning transaction. We received a Lightning transaction via an invoice, and we closed our channel for use of our funds back into the regular on-chain wallet. Now, one other note about Lightning here is that in order to receive payments, this client needs to be online. So you'll find if you create an invoice and then you turn off Electrum, then it may not receive the payment or there may be problems with it. So if you're sending and receiving Lightning, it's kind of for active online participants. If you're sending and receiving on-chain, then it doesn't matter if you're online or not. CoinKite has been in the game for years, creating hands down the best and most secure hardware when it comes to securing your Bitcoin. The Coldcard Q is an absolute powerhouse and my daily driver, and it's ideal for newcomers and advanced users alike. The Tap Signer gives you a low-cost, user-friendly option for those just getting started or for convenience when traveling. You can head to coinkite.com and use code BTC Sessions for discounts, or simply scan the QR code on the screen to get started right away. Debify is the best and easiest way to borrow against your Bitcoin in a non-custodial way. Funds are held in a multi-sig escrow where you hold a key, and the platform allows for excellent hardware like the Coldcard Mark IV and the Q. You have access to flexible conditions, the best rates, and institutional-grade liquidity. If you're looking to make use of your capital, don't sell your Bitcoin, borrow against it. You can head over to debify.com to check them out, or simply scan the QR code on the screen. Looking for a simple and secure way to manage your Bitcoin on mobile? Aqua Wallet has you covered. It's user-friendly and puts you in full control of your Bitcoin with secure self-custody. Aqua also supports Lightning and Liquid Network, making fast, cheap Bitcoin payments and asset transfers easier than ever. Plus, it even supports stablecoins, giving you ultimate flexibility. Built on open source code, Aqua is transparent, trustworthy, and perfect for beginner and pros alike. Ready to upgrade your Bitcoin experience? Click the link in the show notes or scan the QR code on the screen now to download Aqua Wallet today. This next section is going to focus on multisig. And if you're unfamiliar, you can think of it like this. Imagine a digital vault that has a key to open, kind of like the first two wallets we created. We have a digital key. One was hot and one was cold. In this instance, it requires multiple keys to unlock. And you can choose how many keys in total there are and how many of those keys are required to unlock the funds and send a transaction. For the example that we're going to do here, we're going to be using two devices, and we're going to be doing it in a way that we're going to pretend that there are two different people on different computers, each one of them with a device for which they can sign a transaction. And it requires both people to sign in order for the funds to be sent. Now, before we dive into this, I do want to outline that while I really like a lot of the features in Electrum, this section, recording it and figuring out the nuance of how it worked, was my least favorite part of the entire thing. I had a lot of headaches. I'm going to show you the way that I did it that worked. And then at the end of the section, I'm going to tell you the ways that I tried that it did not work. And please do check afterwards in the show notes. If I find that the issues that I came across are resolved, I'll be sure to note down below. But with that, let's dive in and let's set up a multisig that would be amongst two people, each with a key. Okay, so here I am. I've got my hot wallet open from before. Now I've closed the single sig Coldcard wallet that we had before. We won't be requiring it for this portion. I'm going to pull this wallet down here, and we're going to start with the creation of a new wallet. Okay, so I'm going to go File, New. I'm going to name this multi, and I'm going to name the device that I'm using. This is the Jade. It's green, so I'll just call it green. And then I'm going to hit next. I'm going to say this is a multi-signature wallet. And then this is known as your quorum. How many total keys are there and how many of those keys are required? For this example, we're going to have 2 total keys and both will be required. I will note this is probably not the most ideal setup for resiliency. And what I mean is if one of the people here lose their device and the backup for their device, then the funds are stuck. You can no longer move them. So keep that in mind. Better quorums would look something like this. There are 3 keys and you require at least 2 of them. So if one of the people loses their device and their backup, you're still fine. Another popular one that a lot of people use are 5 keys requiring 3 signatures. So 2 people can completely screw up and you're still totally fine. Either way, we're going to be doing 2 of 2 for simplicity today. I'm going to hit next. Now it says, do you want to create a new seed? So you could have a seed natively on the computer, or you can do something like a hardware device, which is what I'm going to do here. I'm going to hit next and it scans for devices. Now, I am going to have to unlock my device here. And I'm just going to have to put a pin to unlock it. So it's prompting me for that now. All right, and with the pin put in, it pulls a little bit of information from my device. Notice all of the other settings I just left as default. We're not going to overcomplicate it. Now, this is the interesting part. There is a master public key down below right here. And this information I'm going to be giving to the other person on the other computer that has their own key. They need the public key information about my device so that they can put together the wallet so they can see the balance and approve transactions. So I'm just going to copy this information. I'm going to paste it in a little note off on my other screen here, and we'll continue on. I'm going to hit next, and I'm going to choose to enter a cosigner key. This is the other person's public key. So I'll just go to the next screen here, and we'll wait for the other person, which is also going to be us, to get to this point where they need our public key as well. So we're going to change roles here. We were person number 1 with the green device. Now we're turning into person number 2 with the metal device, okay, with the Jade Plus. So I'm going to be, even though we have some stuff open here, I'm going to go File, New, and I'm going to be the other person creating their wallet. So they're going to be calling it Multi Plus because it's the Jade Plus. Next, they choose Multisig. Next, they're going to go 2 of 2. Next, they're going to use a hardware device. I better switch these out right now. Next, and it scans for the device. It sees the device as it's connected. I'm going to hit next. I'm going to leave all this as default. And it prompts me to put in my PIN over here on the Jade. Perfect. And with that put in, it gets the information necessary from the plugged in device. And it also gives me my public key for the Jade Plus, which I will tell to the other person. So I'll copy and paste this into my little document. We'll pull it up so we can look at it. And same thing, the second person will move on and they're going to enter the cosigner key. So this is where each person is pasting in the information from their partner, okay? So green Jade needs the public key from the Jade Plus, and they'll paste that in here and hit next. Jade Plus needs the public key from the green Jade, so they'll paste that in here and they'll hit next. And finally, both will choose whether or not they want to add a password to encrypt the file on their computer. I'm going to leave these blank. And here we are with our 2 multi-sig wallets. One would be on the first person's computer and one would be on the second. Now, you will notice, of course, there is some action here. This was when I was practicing and setting up the multisig for the first time, figuring out how it worked. And because I used the same two devices to reset it up, you see the transaction history. Either way, you can see that whatever's going on is reflected on both people's wallets. Any funds coming in or going out, both people will see instantaneously. So what we're going to do is we're going to receive some funds into our multisig, and then we'll test how to send it with two different people. Okay, so what we'll do is the person with the green device is going to receive a transaction. They'll just go to receive. We'll say this is coming from the default wallet because that's where I'm sending it from. And we'll get a Bitcoin address. This hot wallet here is going to send off a transaction just as we've practiced before to this address. It's just going to the multisig wallet, and we'll just send it the full amount. For simplicity's sake, we'll hit pay. And off it goes. And what we see is simultaneously we got changes in both wallets because they are actually one and the same. We see the unconfirmed transaction coming into this wallet. We also see the unconfirmed transaction on a receive screen down below, but if we go to our main history screen, we see the exact same transaction coming in. So both of these saw the transaction happen at the exact same moment. Because they are the same, it is just a different key managing each one. So we're now going to jump to how to sign a transaction and then give the proper information to the other person so they also can sign a transaction. Okay, so let's send a transaction out of this multisig wallet. And remember, each person here, the wallets up top, has a single device to sign and approve, but both of them must sign in order for it to be successfully sent. So first order of business, we'll go to our hot wallet because that's the one we're going to send back to, and we'll just get a receive address. And we'll copy that. We're going to start with the green device. We're going to hit send. We'll paste in the address we're sending to. We'll choose our amount and we'll give it a description. It's going back to the default wallet we created. And we're going to choose pay. We're going to choose our fee and hit OK. Now it says signing transaction. And what you're going to see here, which I'll hold up for the camera to see, is that the device is currently asking me to put in my PIN. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. Now, on the computer, it says to please confirm the transaction details on your Jade device, which it is now showing me. So I'll hold that up for you. It is saying, hey, you're sending to the following Bitcoin address this amount of Bitcoin. And if I approve it, there's a little green arrow. And to select that, there's a button on the front. So I'm just hitting the green arrow. And then it says, hey, here's your transaction fee. And if I agree with it, I select the green arrow and I push on that. And so at this point, I get this screen and it shows me that I have signed the transaction, but I still need another signature. I've only got one of the two. So what do I do? Well, at this point, I can share this transaction with the other person. So I need to send them a file. Okay. That is down in the bottom left here. It says share, and you can either show this as a QR code or save it as a file. I'm going to save it as a file. And I'm going to label it so we can recognize it. Jade multi-send. Okay. And we'll just save that on the desktop. You would then send this file over to the person you want to approve it. Okay, so it says that's exported successfully. I can now close this little window. So this person, the first person, is now done. We'll just go back to our main screen here. Now, let's pretend we are now this other person, which means better plug in the other device. And I'm just going to move this down a little bit. And we'll move over the wallet we're dealing with. Okay. So there was a file that I need in order to see and approve the transaction that we want to send. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up to Tools, and I'm going to choose Load Transaction from File. And I'm going to grab that file, Jade Multisend. Let's open it up. It looks very much the same as the last one. And it gives me an option here where I can sign. So I'm going to do that. Now, this again prompts me on the device to put in my PIN, so I'll do that right now. Now it's telling me to confirm the transaction details. Much like last time, it's saying, hey, you are sending this much Bitcoin to the following address. Do you approve? I'm going to hit yes with the green arrow. It says, this is your fee. Do you approve? I'll hit the check mark. And with that, it is now signed. You can see the sign button is now grayed out, and it gives me the option to broadcast, which I'm going to do right now. I'm just going to move this out of the way so that we can see everything happen at once. Let's get this all set up. So we've signed with both keys, or approved it with both keys, but we haven't broadcast it. Nobody knows about this transaction yet. So I'm going to hit the broadcast button, and every single one of these wallets should all see it at the same time. So here we go, and broadcast. There we go. Every single one of them saw it at the same time. Both wallets that signed and approved it, and the wallet that is receiving the transaction, all went through at the same time. And we successfully sent a multisig transaction with 2 devices. Now, I mentioned I had a lot of trouble with multisig and Electrum leading up to figuring out and creating that last section. So I'm just going to outline what I encountered and, what I hope to see fixed and all of that. So we use the Coldcard with the single sig wallet before. Worked fine. Everything was great. However, I tried to make a multisig wallet on the computer, and I used 2 Coldcards, the Coldcard Q and the Coldcard Mark IV. I created a multisig, and I actually made it so that both keys could be used with the same wallet on the same computer. That did not work. And so then I figured out, oh, well, maybe they want me to have different people on different computers. So I did the same setup that we did here. And once again, it did not work. So then I thought maybe it's an issue with just Coldcard support and needs to be updated. So then I tried Trezors, and I did both ways of setting it up on the computer, same wallet with both hardware devices associated with it. And then again, as if it was 2 different computers. And again, neither way worked. And then finally, I tried the Jades. First, I did it on the computer, a single wallet associated with both hardware devices. It did not work. And then finally, I did the way that I just showed it, and that worked. So I do not know what the deal is there. I've seen examples with other hardware like Ledger working in that fashion with multiple computers or multiple separate segregated wallets. But comparatively with the experience of doing multisig on Sparrow, it's not even close. So if you're looking to do your own multisig, at the time of recording this video, I'd probably say stick with Sparrow. But if you're looking for some of the other features like the Lightning and the 2FA, which you will see in this video as well, then Electrum may be your selection. And again, please do check in the show notes to see if things have changed since I made this video, because they may have been fixed. With that, let's move on. The following section will cover how to create a two-factor authentication or 2FA wallet within Electrum. This functionally is a multi-sig wallet where one key resides on the computer that you're using, or perhaps using hardware, and the other key is actually encrypted on a server and can only be unlocked with Google Authenticator if you put in the correct code. Now, your funds don't remain locked if you don't want to use the 2FA method anymore. You can simply import and recover using your backup words and then say if you want to continue using 2FA or not. If you opt not to, then you'll just be able to send without having to use Authenticator. So again, if you lose the code, the app, you can still recover with your seed phrase. So with that, we're going to dive in. We're going to take a look. One thing to note, there are fees associated with this server that's running in the background, and I'll explain those as we get to them. Let's dive in. Okay, so we're going to be creating a new wallet. Again, side note, we've got our hot wallet down here so we can fund the new wallet when we're ready. We'll hit File, New. We're going to name this 2FA, and we'll hit Next. We're going to choose a wallet with two-factor authentication and hit Next. Now it says two-factor authentication is a service provided by Trusted Coin. It uses a multi-signature wallet where you own 2 of 3 keys. The third key is stored on a remote server that signs transactions on your behalf. To use this service, you will need a smartphone with Google Authenticator installed. A small fee will be charged on each transaction that uses the remote server. You may check and modify your billing preferences once the installation is complete. Note that your coins are not locked in this service. You may withdraw your funds at any time and at no cost without the remote server by using the Restore Wallet option with your wallet seed. Again, the next step will generate a seed of your wallet. The seed will not be saved to the computer, same as before. Okay, we're going to continue and hit Next. We're going to create a new seed, and we're going to note this down and keep it safe. We're going to hit Next, and we're going to retype our seed to make sure we still have it and that we've done it correctly. And then we'll hit Next. There's your wallet file. You need to be online in order to complete the creation of your wallet. And that's because of the remote server. So we're going to hit Next. Again, there's some terms of service and everything like that. You can read through those and then hit Next. And so this is the two-factor authentication code to set it up with your phone. Now, unfortunately, well, I won't say unfortunately, but Google Authenticator, when you're scanning codes and doing things like that, it will blank out the screen. So I can't even really share the screen of what is on my phone without holding up the phone. So that's going to be my method for doing this. So I've got my Authenticator app here, and it has all these different accounts. And basically it gives you 6-digit codes that are all numerical, and they rotate, I believe, every 30 or 60 seconds. And so when it's time to approve a transaction, you just open up the app, get the code that is current, and you type it in. To add a new code to your Authenticator app, all you do is there's a little plus button, and it gives you an option to scan a QR code, which I am doing right now. And it just immediately adds it to my list of 2FA codes. So now what you'll see, so I've got this code that rotates every 30 seconds, and you can see a little pie chart that is counting down. And as soon as it gets to the end, it will create a brand new code, as we'll see right now. Boom, new code. So pretty much, again, when I need the 2FA, I go back to the app and I type in the current one. To confirm this, we actually type in the current code right here within Electrum. And now we have our blue Next button that we can continue. We can choose to add a wallet password. I'm not going to. I'll hit Finish. And here is our 2FA wallet. I mentioned there were fees associated with sending out of this wallet. which you can always opt out of by recovering with your seed phrase that you got when you set up the wallet. But let's take a look at what those fees are by clicking on the little icon in the bottom right. So the way that they do this is you pay in advance for batches of transactions. And if you get a small batch of transactions paid in advance, then you have a slightly higher fee per transaction. If you get a larger batch, then you're going to get about half price. So it says pay every 20 transactions. It's 2,500 sats per transaction. If you pay every 100 transactions, it's 1,250 sats per transaction. You can select and change this before you send your first transaction, but you pay up front for the total amount of transactions, just so you know. I'm going to hit close. And now we're going to fund this wallet as we have before. We're going to hit receive. This is coming from our default. And I'll grab our Bitcoin address. We'll go down to the hot wallet and we'll send over a transaction to our 2FA. I'm going to send the max amount. Now, it's important to note that those fees, of course, add. So you got to think 2,500 sats times 20 transactions. That adds up. It's a good chunk of change the first time you send. And then after that, the next 9 are already paid for. So I'm going to pay. And off the transaction goes. And there we go. We've got a transaction coming into the wallet. So let's take a look at what it looks like in order to approve a transaction on the way out. So I'm going to hit send. We'll get a receiving address here in our hot wallet again. We'll copy it and we'll paste it in. Okay, so we're sending to our default wallet. I'm going to send half of the amount so that we can see what the recovery process looks like as well. So we've got around 300,000 sats here. I'm going to send half. And then I'm going to hit pay. Now, this is how it's going to work here. It says amount to be sent 150,000 sats. The mining fee is only about $1. The fee target is next block. This is all stuff we've dealt with before. It says additional fees, 50,000 sats. That is 20 prepaid transactions at a rate of 2,500 sats per transaction. Again, you can change that to the prepaying 100, but you're going to prepay the full 100 at 1,500 sats per transaction. So again, for some, this may appeal to you because the 2FA gives you extra security and maybe you're not spending a lot. For others, if you're frequently transacting, this likely wouldn't be an economical choice unless you're regularly dealing with very, very large amounts. Okay, so with that, I'm gonna bite the bullet. I'm gonna pay this. So you're welcome. So you can see how it works, and I'll just hit OK. Now it asks for my Google authentication code. So I pull up my app, I take a look at the code, and I type it in. And hit OK. And the payment has been sent. Off it goes. We can see it here down at the bottom of our receive screen in the hot wallet. And we can see it here. There we go, heading into the wallet. So we've successfully sent, and again, it gave us an extra layer of security on the transaction. Now at this point, if I were to send again, it wouldn't charge me a fee because I paid up front for 20 transactions. Next one would be free. It wouldn't be until I get to my 21st transaction that I would have to pay that full batch again. Okay. But nonetheless, we've sent here. The next thing we want to do is we want to see what it's like to recover this wallet. Let's say we don't want to be paying that fee anymore, or we just set it up out of curiosity, but we're just going to pull our money out. We can do that. And the way we do that is through the recovery process. So I've closed out of our 2FA wallet, and I'm going to go File and New/Restore. We're going to give this one a name. We're basically creating a new wallet. We're going to say 2FA Recover, and we'll hit Next. Okay, so we are recovering a wallet with two-factor authentication. It gives us our same disclaimer there. And I'm going to choose I already have a seed. And at this point, I'm going to type in the seed that I wrote down originally when I created the wallet. As soon as I've typed in my 12 words, it says seed type 2FA SegWit. So it lets us know that this was previously used as 2FA. Fair enough. We'll hit Next. Now it says you are going to restore a wallet protected with two-factor authentication. Do you want to keep using 2FA with this wallet, or do you want to disable it and have two master private keys in your wallet? We're going to disable it so that we don't have to pay those fees anymore and can just send out of the wallet with no fees other than regular transaction fees. So we'll hit Next. We're not going to do a password for now. And there is our wallet. So we're now into the wallet, but let's make sure that we don't have to do the whole 2FA thing anymore. We'll get a receive address. We'll go to our send screen. We'll send the rest out. We'll say pay. There's our fee. No 2FA required. We've successfully sent everything out without having to do two-factor authentication, and we wouldn't have triggered any further fees in that instance. And we can see in our hot wallet, there is our incoming transaction sent from our recovered two-factor wallet. This section is going to focus on connecting to your own Bitcoin node. Now, a node is a copy of the entire history of Bitcoin's transactions, as well as the rules that govern the network. When you do not connect to your own node, you are asking somebody else to run one for you. And in doing so, there are a couple implications. Number one is that there could be some privacy implications there, because you are effectively tapping somebody on the shoulder and saying, can you please check these addresses for me? Can you please check my balance for me? Can you please relay this transaction for me? And in doing so, the person may be able to link your transactions and balance to an IP address, which can be geographically located. When you connect to your own node, you are simply looking at your own copy of the Bitcoin blockchain and relaying things entirely on your own, getting rid of some of those privacy problematic things. And the second one is that if there were ever a major change to Bitcoin or people trying to change Bitcoin, when you point to somebody else's node, you must go along with whatever they decide to do to it in terms of upgrades and changes. Whereas if you're running it yourself, you get to say which changes and upgrades or downgrades, perceived downgrades, that you're going to go along with. So we're going to take a look at how to connect with two different options. One is going to be Start9. This is the primary device that I tend to use as my node. And the other is Umbrel, another excellent option that's very, very user-friendly, has a nice interface. We're going to see how both of them function. So here we are. I've got my Start9 node here, and I've got another tab on my browser that is my Umbrel node. Now, both of these are actually small devices that are plugged into my router and sitting on my shelf right now. I'm accessing them remotely. And what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be getting information from them to connect Electrum and anything that I do in Electrum to my own node. So I'm trusting my own information instead of somebody else's. Now, there's going to be two applications typically that you're going to be running in order to successfully do this. One is going to be your Bitcoin node itself, the copy of the Bitcoin blockchain, and two popular implementations. The main one that most people run is Bitcoin Core. It's the most widely used one. And you can find that in Start9 by going to the marketplace. And it is on the main screen here, Bitcoin Core. You can download and install that. and that will be just fine. Alternatively, you can see that I am running a different version called Bitcoin Knots. It is the same idea. It's a full copy of the Bitcoin blockchain and the rules that govern it. And you can choose what you prefer to run. Either way, I'm running a copy of the blockchain. The other main thing that I'm going to want to be running is ElectRS or Electrum Rust server. And it looks like this. Same thing. You can search it in the marketplace. And both of these are running in tandem. This just kind of helps you connect and easily search up balances and addresses and transactions. If I jump over to Umbrel, you can see the same thing. There's the Bitcoin node. I'm also running Knots. And there's Electrum Rust server. And Electrum Rust server is primarily going to be how we connect. That's the information that we're going to need. Both of these will have to download and sync up when you first install them, but once they're done, you can go ahead. So what do we do to actually connect? Well, in Electrum, I'm going to go up and I'm going to tap on the little green button in the bottom right. And this will bring up our network settings. Right now it says select server automatically, but that's not what we want to do. We want to select specifically our own server. So I'm going to check that off. Now, the other thing I want to do here is StartOS connects via Tor. And so I want to click on where it says proxy, and I'm just going to check mark where it says use Tor proxy at port . Okay, great. So I'm going to now go back to the overview tab, and I need to replace this piece of text here with my own connection code. So over here on my Start9, I'm going to go to ElectRS. I'm going to go to Properties, and I'm going to copy this Quick Connect URL. There's a copy button right here. And I'm just going to go and I'm going to paste it in, and I'll hit close. And now it says synchronizing, and now it says that I'm connected. Now the color changes here, but we are successfully connected and everything is working just fine. You can also notice that it shows that Tor is turned on in the bottom right-hand corner of Electrum, and we're good to go. Now, when it comes to Umbrel, pretty much the same thing, but we do need to add something to what we paste in. So let's check it out. Over on Umbrel, same thing. I'm going to choose ElectRS. And we're going to go ahead. We've got a couple options here. We can do our local network and we can do Tor. Since we're already on Tor, let's do that one first. We're going to copy this address. There's a port down below, and there's something else that we need to type in. And I'm just going to contrast this to what's here in my Start9. Okay. So this quick connect URL, it has a big string of digits, .onion. Then it has a colon with what's known as our port, 50001. And then it says :T. This is the structure of what Electrum is looking for. You can also see that they've separated out those things down below, just .onion and then the port separately. Some wallets want them put in separately. Others just want this whole string. So Electrum wants this whole string, but you can see here with our Umbrel, it doesn't put all that together for us. So we're going to have to put it together ourselves. So let's go one more time into our network settings. Let's get rid of what's here. And we need first the address. Okay, so we're going to paste that in, but that just ends in .onion. But we needed the port as well. So I'm just going to type in a colon and then go 50001. And then at the end, it had the :T. That's what we want for our connection. So I'm going to hit close. Synchronizing, and now connected. So once again, we're good to go. It does take a few seconds to synchronize, but then we are now connected, this time to our Umbrel. Let's take a look at the local network connection and how we do that one. So what I'm going to do, we'll go into our network settings one more time. This time, let's turn off Tor. And we'll get rid of all this. And we'll use our local network settings. So I'm going to hit my umbral.local. We're going to paste that in. But we still need the rest. We need :50001:T. And let's see how that works. There we go. Synchronized and good to go. A little bit quicker with the local connection because it doesn't have to go through Tor. Either way, we've now connected locally through our Umbral node. Just a little note with Tor, if I'm connecting that way, I'll be able to connect externally from anywhere. Whereas if I'm using the umbral.local, it's just if I'm at home on the same Wi-Fi network as my Umbral device. Electrum is one of the most powerful Bitcoin wallets out there, but with that power comes a bit of a learning curve. While I ran into some issues getting multisig working smoothly during this video, that doesn't take away from how feature-rich and battle-tested this wallet really is. For single sig, hardware integrations, Lightning, and custom node connections, Electrum absolutely delivers. And we've only scratched the surface. In a future video, I'll be diving into even more advanced features, including air-gapped transaction setups, label sync for organizing your wallet across devices, Nostr Wallet Connect for coordinating multisig over Nostr, and a range of powerful plugins that let you customize Electrum to your needs. If you've made it this far, you're already ahead of the curve, so take your time, explore, and don't be afraid to get hands-on. Also, don't forget to check out the additional tutorials I've added in the show notes, including Bitcoin Well, Coldcard, Sparrow Wallet, Jade, and more. Be sure to let me know what you think about Electrum in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this content and found it useful, please do drop a like. It really does help. Also, if you would like some additional help in your Bitcoin journey and you need some one-on-one attention, reach out to my team over at bitcoinmentor.io. We've got incredible educators that can make sure that your Bitcoin setup is rock solid and secure. Until next time, keep stacking sats, keep stacking skills. I am Ben with the BTC Sessions. This was your daily session.